To stand amazed, this is my desire.
All right, so we are here going to talk about the song All I Desire. So excited for this. I've got with me a couple of the co-writers that were in on this song. It's not a couple, it's all of them. So I don't know. How about you guys just go around, introduce yourself?
Top, I guess I'll go first. So, hi, I'm Patrick. I am probably the newest writer to All I Desire, but I am a writer on it.
I'm Jonathan Wright. I am worship leader from Utica, New York, and had the honor of working on this song with, well, it was originally Rochelle and Matt, and then Patrick came in for a rewrite and helped us finish it up. Just such a beautiful song, and so excited to talk about it. So excited it's finally getting released. Somebody's got it out there. It's about to get released to the world, so pretty excited about that.
Um, I'm Matt Smith from way down in South Georgia. Uh, was a co-writer on this song. I actually submitted it to try to record also because it's a wonderful song. Love it. Um, but anyways, Justin decided that we would go a different direction, which is cool. I'm just so excited to be a part of it. Love it.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm excited for the day you do record it because I think that's what's so cool about music is like you can just go. There's so many different versions, and what resonates with one person, with me, a different one's going to resonate with you. And like, it's not my song, it's ours. And so that's why I just thought it would be so great to have you guys on here tonight. Actually, the four of us write together very regularly. I think Jonathan and I are like the OGs of this little group that we're in. It's been like a year and a half, a little more than
Yeah.
a year and a half, which has been so good. Like, I'm so glad that we got put in the same group. We got a couple like they're gonna come out at some point. We just did one the other day that's pretty cool.
Oh man,
Yeah.
it's so good. I was singing it all day today, just like I'm like, man, it was just so amazing. We literally put together, I think, a course that you had written with an idea that I had, and it just all went together. And
Yeah.
it just happened. And those are the best co-writes when they just happen like that.
Yeah. It was more than an idea, Jonathan. You had like verses like fleshed out. So it was honestly very equal. Like it was cool. So and then one of these days, we got this one song like locked. It's gonna come out. We're gonna work it. I don't know. You might hear it on the radio. I don't know. But it is coming. And then Matt was only like a month later, right? Like I think you were there in March or February, March. It had to have been
February.
it had to have been February because this
This
song
is
was
when,
February.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
when it's from. So I think
Yeah.
that in our group, Rochelle, you and I had written, I think, one song prior, and then
Yeah.
Matt joined. I think Patrick was like June or so. So it's not too long after that he joined. So we have been writing at least once a month for a year,
Yeah.
give or take, depending on. So
Mhm.
it's been a great experience. We all met in Nashville
Yeah.
back in April, like in person, all of us.
Yeah. It was so good just getting to do that. With this song birth, like it actually was like a year and a half ago, this song. No, that couldn't have been. Yeah, it had to have been. Yeah. I'm like, it is just crazy how much time has passed with this song. I mean, I just can't. But it really was one of those songs where, I mean, I feel like Matt, probably you were like right there with it too. It was like just going through your house and it's just like, this is all it's all I desire. I mean, what are the words of the song? I don't know. But
No,
it's just like, it's in there. It's like, you just gotta like let it out. And we knew it was special.
I
So,
just want to interject that at the time of this recording, we have not yet heard the final produced version of Rochelle's song. We were in the room when it was recorded and we're like, oh, this is our song. Yes, but we haven't heard the final produced song. So tomorrow, from the time of this recording, is what's actually coming out. So we're all excited. Like we're really excited to hear that fully produced version for the first time when it comes out tomorrow. I mean, imagine that. We helped write it and we didn't even get to hear the pre-release version. I'm just kidding.
I
We're
feel
very
like
excited.
this is a problem. I probably should email it to you after this. I'm
No,
like,
it's all
you
good.
didn't do that. Oh my gosh.
The anticipation's great. Make us wait.
Yeah, the anticipation's great. It'll make your views go up and everything because
Yeah.
it's right on there at midnight.
Yeah. Y'all better share it. It's so good. I love that. Honestly, the big thing I would like go into this whole moment is like was just that idea that this song was just so deep and personal in it because it's the heart of God. Like this is he wants us to stand before him and like put our gaze and our affection on him. And so it's so easy to sing a song like that because it's like, oh my gosh, I resonate with that so much. And the reason is because it's in scripture. And I don't know, like Matt, I feel like you should touch on that, like what it means to you and like even where in the Bible like that has meant to you.
I think that as a worship leader, I think most of us would agree that um we draw such inspiration from David. Um, when there were no eyes on him before he was the anointed king, when he was just a shepherd boy, being faithful in the field, that was his heart's desire. And through all the ups and downs, and he had some downs, that one thing that I seek, one thing that I would have is to dwell in the house of the Lord all of my days. So I think that you can look at David and the life of David, and I go back to I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and the difference between Saul and David as king, and David's or Saul's worry was make sure he told the prophet to walk with me in front of the people so the people think I'm all right. David was worried about his relationship with the Lord. And so I think that is what we're here for. We're here to release the sound of heaven in the earth and give God glory. Bible says that the very rocks will cry out if we don't lift our voice and give worship to the Lord. So, even in our we were talking about this earlier, and I think during the time we were writing this, I was kind of in a just a bad mood is what I told him. But even in those moments when life's hard, when things are tough, when it's not all going to plan like we hope, that has to be our heart's desire, and our eyes have to be set on that. The one thing that I live for is his gaze.
Jonathan and Patrick, you guys got anything that just this song just like means to you really?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this too before when we were just like discussing it before recording, and just that we were so passionate about this song and we just felt it that we actually had to really condense it because we had so much we wanted to put in here. But I think that's just such an amazing thing. We were talking just about how he's a cup that won't run dry and he satisfies, and some of those words didn't, make it to the song and we still sing those and go, oh man, but it's just such a powerful song, I think, because just to remember that he is truly everything. And like Matt was saying, David got it when he said, I just want to, this is all I want to see. I want to be in your presence. And it's like, we need to get that. And when I hear a song like this, it's just like, you know what? Nothing, 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 literally nothing else matters. And we know as worship leaders, as believers, that nothing else can satisfy.
Yeah.
Like nothing else can satisfy. But when you're in his presence and you just feel his peace and his love, and it's like in that moment that everything is just okay because he's beautiful, he's worth it, he's everything. And I think, that's what we were trying to capture in the song, and I think that we did that. It's like singing, it's just like, God, it's all I want to live for. Nothing else matters.
Yeah.
You're everything. And so, yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. So true. I mean, it really is like the heart cry of every believer that really loves and knows Jesus, that like, I just want to live before your gaze. Like, look into your eyes, like for eternity, we're going to be worshiping him. And that starts now. And I don't know about you guys, but like, well, I don't know, Patrick, you're a little younger than I am. I won't say the difference unless you want, but it's when I was like back in middle school is when Better is One Day was like, that was the thing. Now I actually don't know how old that song is, but I mean, that song, I feel like, when you're young, those songs just like get in there and you could go your whole life and it's like, it's still in there. And I just feel like this song could be that for somebody else, like maybe Better is One Day is a pretty old song that a lot of us know, but maybe there's some people that are not going to listen to that song, but they would maybe listen to this. Or and that's what's so cool is like um God keeps that cycle of like the ages going. Like he knows what mantles need to be picked up and what ones need to be put down and who's going to carry the torch. And so I just feel like this is one of those songs of like just expressing to God, like, I'm going to just be before you all my days.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think in regards to that age kind of discussion of God knowing when things need to be either refreshed or knowing when the mantle needs to be picked up, I find myself in that place when it comes to all I live for. Now, I have a slightly different perspective because I didn't come along when this was first written. I came along for the rewrite. So I wasn't there in the first, brainstorming. I don't know everything that was shared or said when it was first being put together. But I did get to share in some of that when you guys decided to rework it. And I was super blessed to be able to be there because I was able to see what you had what you laid out. And I think of, it makes me think of one of the verses. I see a ton of growth just kind of as writers in all of us, really, in one of these verses, going from what it was in that first writing session to what it is now. I mean, there's just this one line that like I'm finding myself hung up on time and time and time again. I will rejoice in your covenant love. I mean, that was never even a concept in the first. That was something that came actually in the rewrite, and it was something that just it like you hit on it with the that's the mantle right there, at least for me. That is my mantle in this song, I think. And I find myself realistically challenged by all I live for. Some we mentioned how it's a heart cry and it's our genuine, our genuine desire for every Christian, but sometimes I find myself challenged by it because sometimes realistically I just don't find myself in that place. And I think that's a very true thing of just any person who's walking this journey is that there are gonna be some times where we don't feel that. We don't have that. We're not in that space. We're not in that space 24/7. And so sometimes I sing this song as my heart cry. Sometimes this is genuinely what I feel. And then sometimes I'm singing it to remind myself
Yeah.
of what I've signed up for, to remind myself of the things that I've devoted myself for. This same verse says, I'll forsake everything I've known. Everything that I've known, I'm going to forsake it to love you, God. And I mean, that's hard. That's really hard. That's a very hard thing to do. It's not easy, but it's what we're called to. It's what we're called to do. And so part of it is us singing that when we're experiencing it, when we're living it as like a thank you, Lord, a thank you, Jesus moment. And then sometimes it becomes the challenge for us to continue running that race, to continue walking in that.
Yeah, that is so true and so good. I love what you said. Like, sometimes it's the heart cry, and sometimes it's the reminder that that's my heart cry because it takes God to love God. And like, we're humans, and we don't we don't always get it all like perfectly. It's not like perfect, like, okay, every single day at this exact time and these things, and I'm gonna always hit the mark. Like, we fall short of that, and that's why it says in Romans that we all fall short of the glory of God, because like we do. But it's just that longing and that desire, like to be before him. When we were writing this song, it was really a moment that was pivotal for me. And the Lord had, actually, this was February 8th, right? Like, I remember very distinctly February 4th, I released a song, Love Cannot Be Rushed. And I was so excited for that song to come out. And it came out, and I felt honestly like it kind of flopped. And I was like, what? And it kind of like devastated my heart a little bit because it meant so much to me. Doesn't mean it means something to everyone else, but it meant something to me. And that song is like this idea of like, I can't rush the time that it takes to love you, God. Like, I have to take the time to grow in that love and grow in that trust so that I look like you. And then it's just ironic that now this song comes out like 4 days after that. I never had made that correlation to like just now, that he's like, it's like that reminder of like, but this is all I live for. Like, and almost like a promise from the Lord of like you sowed this then, and now in this season you're before me. Like, you did it, and now you're continuing to do it. You got over the hurdle. And in that season for me, it was like some really, really hard things happened. And my song that I released this like a week ago, In the Valley, really expresses a lot of that, because all of that, like that moment, that February, it like launched me into this whole thing where the Lord was like, I'm going to refine you. And it was like right about then that the Lord showed me that verse in Malachi where he's like, I'm going to stick you in the fire, and you're going to burn, and I'm not going to like hurt you, but it's going to hurt, and it's like, oh, okay. So that whole season going into that, this was like my anthem, my mantra of like, when all else is like overwhelming, because there was times where it was just like this, the anxiety almost would just like well up and try to like really overwhelm me. And I really felt the Lord just come and like speak to me and just say like, put your eyes before me, because in those moments you feel overwhelmed with like that anxiety or that pressure that you feel all around you, just like set your eyes on me, look at my face. And I just feel like that this song really has been like an anchor for me personally. But I kind of want to switch gears here, kind of lighten the mood a little bit. Matt, you mentioned that like you were kind of in a bad mood that day. And we all have those days. But were there struggles that any of you guys had with writing this? I know, Patrick, you weren't there in the beginning, which, by the way, like you coming in at the end really was so needed, and it was so perfectly placed. Like, we needed you in that final hour. So I'm like so glad that you're on this song. But I'm just wondering, like, did you guys face struggles with this, or was it like smooth sailing, or somewhere in between?
So when we were writing the song, we were all so extremely passionate about it that we had a lot of material that we really wanted to cover because we were just all in. And I think that was the hard part is like we were discussing beforehand that we have like the original notes from when we first sent it in. We sent it in right away because we're like, this is so good. And then obviously you have to work on it, especially when you're going to record it, which we really wanted to. And we had to really condense it. And I think that was kind of the hard part is like actually taking everything you want to say and deciding what's the most important that you should say and just making sure it's all concise because we were just so passionate about it. I think that was really the hard part. And like I said before, that there's actually lines in here, or there's not lines in here that we wrote that still go around in my head that I'm like, oh man, that had to come out. But in the end, I think the song says what it needs to say. And it was more of an exercise in being concise and straight to the point.
It really was. Yeah, our I don't know what you call him in this scenario. He's so many things. He's our worship coach, our producer, our whatever else he is, life coach. Justin had told us that the words in this song were just like there's too many. It's like, can you make it more concise? Like take all the like 4 lines and condense it into 2 kind of thing. I mean, he didn't say those words exactly, but that was what we were challenged with. And we're like, but I want everyone to know that he's the cup that won't run dry and he's satisfied, so then we had to like wrestle through that and different melodies. And I don't know, maybe we'll write another song with those lyrics that are just in cyberspace right now.
That's again the reason that Patrick was so helpful though, because he came in with a, third party kind of
Yeah.
perspective that where we were like, I don't want to get rid of this. And he was able to go, well, I don't think that part is quite along the same lines and just help us. So it was, yeah.
I can speak a little bit into that as, kind of the weird situation I'm in where I was the third party and I was kind of just taking a blank slate look at something that had already been done. I was actually really interested to see the changes specifically in the verses, where like you guys, what you had before I looked at it, that second day that you guys worked on it. It was really, really simple. Really simple, like very small phrases in your verses, very small things. And it was super, super ballady, super slow and beautiful and gorgeous. But I realized I was like, this is gonna lose people. And I thought that I was like, maybe there's a degree of like too much that's simple, too much simple going on here. So it was interesting to like take that thing that was already present and be an influence of like helping to shape it and helping to mold it and say, okay, let's refine this a little better here. And I remember specifically with the cup line. With the cup line, I remember that was kind of a big contention, and you guys were so super in love with the line.
We loved that line. We loved that line.
Loved it.
I think probably we were all just imagining us like on our knees, like you are.
Yes.
We had a little bit of like drama.
I remember Matt was saying that. He was like, I could see myself on stage just going after God. And I'm like, I would pay anything to see that too. And
and I remember you guys like loved that line so much, and I was like, I don't.
Yeah. And we're
I totally broke all of your hearts.
You did, but it was only after we were told by Justin, like, you got to cut some things. And we're like, all right, he knows.
I don't want to cut anything. Is what we were saying.
I want the 4-course meal here. Come on.
For real. Seriously.
In one song.
I remember. In one song, exactly. But I remember saying that, and you guys were like, are you kidding me? You just like stabbed me in the heart. Like, how dare you say that about my baby? But I remember saying that, and like we worked with it, and we like I remember it took us a while to kind of like figure it out, just because I think there was so much like charge for you guys being, the first writers on it, just having so much attachment to it, and then me being like, but it doesn't work, and not having any of the attachment to it. That was like it was a fun little exchange of like
Right.
perspective, and but what we ended up on, I think, is actually really beautiful. And I think it really serves the content of what we ended up with at the end really, really well.
So for you guys, knowing that this is the meaning of the song, knowing we went through this grueling process, I think this song was submitted probably maybe even 4 times by the time it was all said and done. And it was like, okay, this is the big feedback that comes back. We had challenges, but what on the flip side for each of you is like a gold, like when you think of this song, you're like most excited for like this line or this moment in the song. And I'll start with myself. For me, it's really the bridge. Like it for me, I'm like I love a good bridge. Like I just want to like belt it out at the top of my lungs and like like throw myself on the floor like ah, like the whole like sucking carpet moment. But like I feel like that bridge, like this is all I live for, to dwell in your glory, to gaze on your beauty. Like that is it for me. I love the story of Mary sitting at Jesus's feet, and like I had recently in the last like year or so heard this story that when Mary was sitting at Jesus's feet, Martha was upset with Mary, but Mary's response and her heart posture when Martha was doing all of the things she was doing and saying, she didn't say a word. All she did was let Jesus be her defense. And he did defend her. And I just
That's
feel like
good.
that is like, for me, it's like, oh, and then like just being like Mary at Jesus's feet. Like, that's it for me.
I love Patrick said it earlier. I remember when we were rewriting verse 2. I'm pretty sure, Rochelle, it was your idea where you were, I will rejoice in your covenant love. And I was like, that's it. That's it. And it was just so cool because, it's such a parallel. It says, I will forsake all I have known to be with you. And, it's like we know that Jesus is worth it all. And it's worth giving everything to him, but then to turn around and say, I will rejoice in your covenant love, to me is like, yeah, it's not like it's all sacrifice and no gain. It's like you get the love of Jesus in exchange, and you get to literally rejoice in that love. Like there's nothing that satisfies. It makes me think of like the verses that say, what does a man profit if he gains the whole world but loses his soul? It's like it's nothing but being able to rejoice in his covenant love. And then we turn around and say, I yearn for you. So it's just like this whole, I guess, paradox of I'm giving you everything, my soul's yearning for you, but at the same time, you're actually everything that I'm going to rejoice in, and you're the joy set before me. That really was just like the bridge to me too, but I think that was probably my favorite line when we wrote I will rejoice in your covenant love. I was like, that's it. That's it. It just clicked. So
I would say the bridge is probably I had like you said earlier I had this yeah, I don't know what it was, like a music video in my head of standing on stage and just belting to the there's a saying, say it with your whole chest,
Yeah.
just with my whole chest that this is all I live for. I think that's the thing that it all goes back to the audience of one, the reason we do what we do. And to live in that place and to dwell in that place is just and at the time of writing this, being at a place where it was like I really don't want to be in that because of to be completely honest, I want to flesh out and just do what I want to feel the way I want to feel, everybody else just be whatever. But to know that even on those days, he still longs for that, and he still invites me to that. That's beautiful. So even when I run away from his presence, he's still drawing me back. And then when I get there, it's like he just lavishes his love on us again, and it's all over again. It's this beautiful romance and love affair with, you know, that's I think of this is you can edit this out, Rochelle, but um in the movie Elf where Buddy runs in and says, I'm in love, and I don't care who knows, that's the kind of mental image I get, but and that's like, oh, that's silly, but it really is. The Father's wild about us. The Bible tells us he dances over us, um, and we're invited into that. So I think the bridge. This is what I live for. I'll never have opportunity in this lifetime to praise God in this very moment, in this hard moment. It's the beautiful thing about life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I'm definitely not editing that out. Like Elf, the Christmas tree scene when he like jumps on the couch, like I rewind that over and over again, like every year. It's the best.
Oh,
I quote all the time. I'll say it at work. I'll be like, guys, do you know what the best way to spread Christmas tree is? And they all say, singing loudly for all to hear.
yeah.
I feel like,
Buddy's an icon. He's an icon.
okay, like Jonathan,
It's
I
true.
often picture you like this. Like, have you seen the movie Sing with the pig and she's in the
I haven't
marketplace?
I haven't watched the whole thing. I've seen clips of it.
You have to. It's when she like realizes that she has something to offer and she just loses herself as she's shopping in the shopping aisle, and the camera guy like sees that she's kind of dancing and he like cranks the music up and it's like midnight probably and she's just like all this. I'm like, Jonathan.
Oh man. That sounds like the kind of person I really want to be, though. Just that people knows who I am, and I just go for it, grocery store and all.
Yeah. You got the power. You just use those keys of power and you dance the night away in your grocery store. Too funny.
That's so funny. I'm actually gonna steal Jonathan's answer that he kind of stole from me. I mean, if I had my like sucking carpet on the floor, like that's my moment, it would lie in verse 2. Our second verse, I'll forsake all I've known, like I'll rejoice in your covenant love. I remember when we figured that out, you weren't the only one, Jonathan. You were not the only one who like got so excited. I like almost leapt out of my chair because something about that was just like so like shoe throwing good. I remember I was like, I want to throw a shoe. I'm angry. It was it was such a good like such a perfect fit for that moment, and I was like, absolutely, this is it. And a little bit of a personal tidbit for me is that I, believe it or not, I don't know if you will believe it, but believe it or not, I'm actually somebody who struggles a lot with allowing myself to be joyful and allowing myself to actually rejoice. Like it's always something that we talk about, but to actually do it, I find myself struggling a lot of the time to rejoice when it's time to rejoice and just be celebratory and have fun. I find myself struggling to get into that place, and everybody else around me can be in this place where they're celebrating and having fun and rejoicing in the Lord. I mean, you have those worship moments that are just like they're so filled with fun and they're so filled with just the joy of the Lord and the excitement of God. And I'll find myself struggling to engage in that. And I'll find myself wanting to, but something will get in the way or something will get in my mind or whatever. And I'll find myself kind of having that struggle. And so I will rejoice in your covenant love.
Yeah.
That's a power line in my life. That's a power line for me. when I'm able to get in those joyful moments, like I'm actually doing it, like I'm celebrating you, God, like, ha ha, I'm doing it, and you get excited. But even when, I mean, I think it goes back to what I said earlier about, realistically, we're just not always in that place, like 24/7. It's like that is my war line when I'm not in that place. That is me declaring war and saying, I will rejoice in the covenant love of the Lord. Like, I will do this. I don't know what it's going to take for me to do it, but I will, and I'll figure it out. I'll figure out a way to do it. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful just to have that celebration of the Lord. I remember when we were actually in Nashville, and I don't think it was the same day that All I Live For got done, but I remember during that time we just I don't know if I don't think Matt and Jonathan were there with us, but I remember in one of our writing sessions out in Nashville we wrote this like total bop of a song, just one of those like get up and dancey, like have fun, celebrate, rejoice in the Lord songs. And like I want to get it out one of those days because that's a testament to like God is fun. God is fun, and we can rejoice that God is fun, and we can rejoice in his love. It's something to be celebrated. And so my power line, like my prostrated sucking carpet tears and crying and all that, it's found in verse 2.
Wow.
It's found in that joy.
So
I
good.
just want to interject that Matt and I were in the other room and we also wrote a banger, just for the record.
It's
In
pretty
case
good.
anybody's wondering.
Just for the recording, just so everybody knows.
Yeah.
For those who know my husband, he's a drummer, and he came in and like interrupted their room with a tambourine, and we caught it on camera. He was just like,
It was the best thing ever. It was just so fun. But and it's just so cool. Like I think we had so much fun there that we did. Like I was thinking that what you're saying that Patrick, it's like I think we, when you're writing songs like that together, you do feel the joy of the Lord, and it's like this is what I was made for. And it was just such an incredible experience to feel that, joyful. Like this is just so much fun.
yeah,
So.
absolutely it was. I can't wait till we go back because it was just like highlight of the year. I mean, just
Mhm.
phenomenal from the pre-day to the day before we started to the very end. Okay, just kind of like some lighthearted questions here before we go. Just in like what is your strength as a writer, like individually and in a group? Like, for me, I feel like I'm getting a lot better at lyrics. Like I can see the lyrics and melody kind of shining through. Um, I'm not saying I'm like the best one ever or the worst one ever. It's like growing, but those are probably like they come out easiest.
Interesting. I guess I've been told that one of my strengths is, and I did very well in grammar in school. So for me, I'm always going, well, if this says this, then this needs to say this. I
Yeah.
try to keep things parallel and go, well, we're saying it in this tense here, so I don't like the fact that this tense is past tense if that one was present. I mean, I think that's just one of the gifts I have is like I try to keep things parallel. So I'm kind of more looking at it like does this whole idea flow?
Yeah.
Um, and then, well, how do we get there from this point to this point? We jump from A to C, but where's the B? I think that's probably one of my strengths.
Mhm. Definitely. And you definitely do that, which is good. I'm over
Sometimes I
here
feel
like
like it can be annoying, but
I'm over here like, let's just bend the rule a little bit. And you're like, no, we need we're like, Matt, which one should we do? Patrick,
I,
help us.
I feel like I barely speak English, so Patrick, or I mean, Jonathan brings like he's like that doesn't it? If you type it in Google and Google doesn't know what you're talking about, like which has happened, but
That's so funny.
it helps structure. I think I'm a broad stroke idea type
Yeah.
would probably be the best. I don't play, so I have trouble with melody a lot, and I can kind of describe. I remember one of my songs that I done, I recorded in Nashville was I went in with a guy who's an excellent musician and just kind of laid out, I've got this line and this is what I was thinking. And we wrote it in like 30 minutes. I mean, it was just, and it was actually, I was really proud of it because Justin was like, yeah, that's ready. And I was like, okay.
That's
It's,
amazing.
yeah, yeah.
They
There
were
were
so good
kids
though.
problem, huh?
They were so good. They really
Okay.
were. They were excellent.
So
Yeah,
good.
shout out real quick. Jonathan played for me on my recording.
Woo!
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and
Sorry.
if you go to my church, we've been doing Matt's no rock song. So if you've heard that no rock, it's no rock.
That's
Yeah,
one that was written with just 30 minutes, man. It was just like
so
that.
good. It
That's
is so
awesome.
singable. I love it. Love it. Yeah, you're really good at like concepts. You're not a man of many words, but when you speak, it is like, yeah, that.
Or when he
Yeah.
opens his mouth
Like,
and sings, we'll be
yeah,
like, "So what
and
do
you
you think,
sing.
Matt?" And all of a sudden he'll just open. Let me think about it, and he opens his mouth and sings, and I'm just like, "Stop the
It
whole
is.
thing!
There's
Don't
like
Thank
stop!"
carry an authority there, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
It's a God-given thing. So yeah, it's good.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and on Matt singing, let me just say that for the record, I had to wait like over a year to hear this man's vocals. Oh my goodness.
Seriously.
Oh my goodness. If
I
you get a
remember
chance,
that
listen to
moment. You were like,
it.
"What?"
Yeah, I was like, dude, are you kidding me? Oh, it was gorgeous. Anyways, so yeah, that was just a little side piece. But I think in this group in particular, I would say I have different strengths outside of this group. I would say I excel differently by myself than I do with others, but I'm finding myself, at least the past year, I'm finding that I really do well with laying basic chord work and laying basic
Yeah.
structure behind things. And I find myself taking the lyrical ideas and the melody ideas that you guys come up with, and then I'm able to kind of put all the musical structure behind it in a way that hopefully hopefully flows in a nice way that's pleasant to the ear. I found that that's where I've excelled the most, and I would think at least in this group, these people, that's where I've kind of seen the most growth in, as far as us writing together. Individually, though, I would say I excel more at just melodic lines. The only problem with that is I don't really write a ton of lines that are quite singable for much others other than myself.
But you
But I
sing those songs.
I
Or
sang, y'all.
You
I think
do.
I
You
sang a little
as
sang.
bit.
they say.
So I mean, if you need congregational stuff, I might not be your writer. But I find myself enjoying writing things that are um, maybe a little more intermediate. I enjoy challenging myself to see like what melodies I can write and what boundaries I can push even just for myself as like someone who's writing them, who's making them, and who's singing them. But
Sure.
yeah, I would say at least as far as we go, I find myself really strong and really growing in like musical structure, chord structure.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But I would love for you guys to just, real briefly just share what music is coming out because all four of us went to Nashville, where they can find your music and what the names of your songs are or that are coming out.
Yeah, my first single from the EP is called New Heights, and that is coming out August 2nd, so about a week. Very excited for that one. Full EP comes out 2 weeks later, so August 16th. It's also called New Heights. I love the song. To me, it was just such a a testimony of all that God has done in my life, a great, summary, I guess. And it's just so special to me. And was so special to hear everybody in the room like engaging with it and carrying the melody. It was such a special moment. So New Heights single and EP coming out soon, Spotify, Apple Music, all that. Jonathan Wright. Would love for you guys to check it out. And yeah.
Um, so mine came out in June. It's called Matt Smith Live at the Franklin House of Prayer. I'm on Apple Music, Spotify, anywhere you get your music. And then I'm on Facebook if you want to hop. It's Matt Smith Worship. Anyway, so check it out. I'm super proud of all the things that all these songs that were released or recorded there, and it was I was super excited about releasing them, and I always laugh and joke. Justin would say, pray about timing and really, and I didn't pray about nothing. Mine got to me, and I put it out. So, which is I don't advise folks, but but
All
but
good.
I live with a go. So unless the Lord says whoa, then I'm going. So but yeah, no, I check it out, and I hope their songs will be a blessing. I know that's more geared toward like a put it on behind while I'm praying or something like that, was kind of the feel. So, but super proud of all that. Thank you for this opportunity, Rochelle, to
Absolutely.
sit down and talk about this. It's so much fun.
Yes. So glad you're here.
Well, my debut single, Forever Home, live from Nashville, has already come out, at least the single version. It came out in about mid-July. So that is on Spotify, Apple, it's on YouTube. I think I even put it on Deezer if you use Deezer still. Just in case somebody uses it. I know somebody will. But it's where you get all your music. That is out. Look up Forever Home Live, Patrick Cortis. You will find it on there. I have another one that is planned to come out. The date is still TBD, but I'm looking at about mid-August. I have another one, Regardless, which we actually wrote together. That's not just a me project. So I'm excited to get that one out. And then I will have the full EP, Forever Home Live from Nashville, coming out sometime after that.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining me and sharing. We'll post the links to where you guys can check out their music. Seriously, it's so good. There's actually a Spotify playlist. I will put that link in the comments here too. That has all of our songs and others that have gone to Nashville and recorded over the years with our producer, Justin. And we just so appreciate you coming in and checking us out. For those who are still watching, first of all, yay you. But second of all, this Friday, I'm coming out with the rest of my album. So please be watching for that. Share with friends. One way that you can really help us as artists who are up and coming is to share our music. Even it's free to share a post. So if we post something, like, we would love if you could share and just like give us your feedback, share with friends. Those little things really help us to get our music out to new listeners. And so I hope you have an awesome night, and we will see you later.